In the last video, we looked at completing the square. But mathematicians are lazy, so they don't want to have to do this every time. So what they did is they came up with a formula to help them solve quadratic equations. Let's have a look at this. ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is a quadratic equation. We don't know what a, b, and c are, so we're just going to leave them as letters. So we're going to solve this using completing the square. Now, we have a term out the front here, this a. So we're going to divide by a first. Now, the reason we're doing that is because when we complete the square and we put it into the brackets squared, our x term, we don't want anything in front of it. So b divided by a, we're just going to leave as a fraction, and then we have c divided by a. Now, our next step is we're going to just get rid of this c over a. So we're going to subtract c over a from both sides. X squared plus b over a, x equals minus c over a. Now we can complete the square on the left-hand side. So when we complete the square, we have our x term. It's going to be positive, but then we have to halve the coefficient of the x, b over 2a. And we're squaring this. But if you remember from our last video, expanding this bracket will give us an extra b over 2a squared that we don't want. So we're going to have to subtract it as well. Now, we're going to get rid of this minus b over 2a squared by adding it to both sides. So this leaves us with x plus b over 2a all squared on the left-hand side. And on the right-hand side, we're going to have b over 2a all squared, subtract c over a. Now, I want to make this term slightly easier. I want to make it into a single fraction. So we're going to have b squared over 4a squared. And if we want to make it over a single fraction, we have to have this over 4a. So on top, we're going to gain that kind of 4a. Because we've already got one there, we need to multiply it by on the top if we're dividing by it on the bottom. So if we simplify what we have on the right-hand side, this is going to give us b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. Now we've got a single term on the right-hand side and a single term on the left, we're going to square root. So x plus b over 2a equals positive and negative of the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 4a squared. But we can do the square root of the top and bottom separately. b squared minus 4ac on top, and the square root of 4a squared on the bottom. Now we note we're not doubling up on the plus or minus, we only need the 1. So x plus b over 2a is going to equal plus or minus. We can't simplify the top, so we're going to leave it as this. And on the bottom, the square root of 4 is 2, and the square root of a squared is a. Our final step would be subtracting b over 2a from both sides. So x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a, where I've just simplified the fractions. Now this thing will give us our solutions to our quadratic equation, and this is called the quadratic formula. So that if we know what our a, b, and c are, we can just substitute them into this, and we can get a solution instantaneously.